Hi, Nancy Kwan here. Have you ever wanted to go to a website and gather the information that's being displayed? If yes, that's what web scraping is. Web scraping is a great way to copy and paste information like product names, product prices, maybe there's a SKU, product descriptions, or even specifications or ingredients that will help inform a person to buy your product. But a lot of the times I notice that online stores that are reselling a product, they actually forego this information because it takes a lot of time to copy and paste and extract that data and put it into their own website. But the value of providing that information on your own website is very, very important, especially for shoppers who aren't familiar with your product, shoppers who are still trying to do their research and decide whether they want to buy their product. So if you don't have that information on your site, what may happen indirectly is that they may continue to go shop online and go to another company's site that will display that. Or maybe if the manufacturer of the product that you're selling has a direct to consumer model, they might land on that site and buy directly from somebody else, which indirectly, after you spent a lot of time and money doing marketing and getting them to come to your store, you've now lost them and lost a potential sale because you didn't have all the critical information. Another way that web scraping is very beneficial is if you're an organization trying to do market research, to keep an eye on any changes that your competitors may be doing or communicating out to your potential buyers, keeping you informed of how they're positioning their product, what they're pricing it at, and any additional information that you might want to be aware of so that you could adjust and adapt your product as well. So in today's example, I'm going to use make.com to walk you through what does web scraping look like in a workflow using AI and automation. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this and walk you through step by step, but let's just use an example. Let's pretend that you're an online store that sells Stella and Chewy's dog food. So if you're going in and you're trying to pull all the information from all these different products, doing so takes a lot of time. And this example that I set up is it's going to show you how the AI automation will go to all the URLs that you've identified and scrape. So let's just say the product name, the price, the overall rating. More specifically, we're interested in pulling the description information here, also the ingredient information that's showing on this manufacturer's website. And also I think I pulled out the product guarantee. I was like, oh, I want to display that on my website. So I've actually opened up and created a Google Sheet that identifies the different URLs where the product information I want to scrape currently sits. And I've built the Google Sheets I built these headers to really tell the automation, this is the information that I'm looking for. The product name, the page title, the product descriptions, the pricing, the rating, the sizes, ingredients, etc. I have here on my Google Sheets the status, and I'll come back to that. It's a critical step when you do AI and automation. View it as like your quality check before you actually release it publicly. Coming back to my workflow, this is where I've told the automation to go to the Google Sheets, take a look at the URLs, and go to the URL and web scrape all the information that you can find on that website. When it does that, and I'll show in a second, when it does that, it will pull all the HTML code, it'll pull the CSS code, everything that's put in onto the web source, right? When we do web scrape, it actually extracts information that it's not displayed in a way that probably a normal person that doesn't know web will be able to understand. So this is where I leveraged a module called a text parser to extract all the HTML code, just to try to condense it down, to make all the information that's been scraped a little bit more readily to be used. And then I passed that into OpenAI, or in my instance, I use ChatGPT to look for specific information that I've identified in my Google Sheets, where I was showing the product name or the title or the price, the description, the ingredients. Extract all that information and then drop it back into the Google Sheets when it becomes available. Now, the automations, this automation you could schedule. So you could schedule it to run, say, every 15 minutes at the end of the day. Maybe you're scheduling it to run at a certain period of time. It's up to how you are setting up your processes. You're probably wondering what this latter half of this workflow is. It's just a QA process that I've put in for this particular example. I've set it up so that it sends a notification to somebody on my marketing team to review the content that it has scraped. Now, you could set up different notifications. So say, for example, you use Slack. You could replace the Gmail application here and put in the Slack application. Or maybe if you guys run heavily within, say, like a CRM, you could actually assign tasks or assign activities and assign it to a particular person to review it. But in my example, just for today's demo, I've set it up so that somebody on my team will receive an email alert to notify them that the information is available for review. And the reason why I've built that in is when you use AI and automations, you want to make sure that you're putting in controls and parameters in place so that things aren't just pushing live without somebody doing their final check, right? You want to double check to make sure that the right things were being scraped, that the information that you have pulled is the information that you want to display in the sections that you've outlined. So this is why I've put in this section, this Gmail notification here, is that I want my marketer, the person on my team, to go back into the Excel file once it's been populated, review the content, and then determine, am I going to be okay with the information that's pulled, or do I not approve it? And if that happens, say if it is approved, then this is something that the second that the status is approved, I'll push it onto my website live. Now, if it's not approved, then it won't get pushed onto the website live. This is where I have this Wix module on this particular journey where it's going, we've now collected this information, a marketer has reviewed the content, they've gone to the Excel sheet, they've reviewed the content, and now we're going to push it onto our website. So of course, if it's not approved, it won't push live. I highly recommend making sure that you put those parameters in place so that you don't get any surprises. The example, this is just a reminder, I've set this up so that it only does a web scrape for 3 of the web pages I've identified just for this particular demo. You could set the parameters that you want when you have the automation running for your organization. Okay, so let's hit run and see what happens. So it's already showing here that it's already gone to the first web page, web scraped it, condensed it down into by removing all the HTML codes, and passed it into ChatGPT and loaded it into the Google Sheet that I was showing you. It's now doing the second one. Okay. And it'll probably be loaded by the time I flick over. And now it's completed the second URL web scraping. And now it's going to the third one. So let's just see this all in action. And give it a second. And the third web scraping doesn't even require me to go into it. So now as part of the workflow, I had identified for it to send an email notification to somebody on my team to review the file. So here we received the email notification. I'm going to click into that link because that's the instruction that I need to go review the information available here. And let's just pretend, I'm just going to pretend here that I'm going to approve, let's approve 2 of them and let's not approve 1 of them here. Okay. and I'll show you what happens in the workflow. So let's toggle back to the automation. We're going to give it a couple seconds here. I just created a timer just to give me enough time to toggle between the screens and update the statuses to show you what the rest of the workflow will do when it's being run live. And now the workflow is finished running and it's outputted. It shows us here. Let me just move this over here. It shows us here that we have 2 approved URLs ready to go for posting, and it's been identified here. And also here's the second product where somebody has given the authorization that the content that has been web scraped is ready to post live. For the one that didn't, it went down another path. And again, right now I just show it ending, it collecting within a Google Sheet, but you could create your own processes of what's the next step that you want your team to do. But again, it outputs the information so that you know which one or which product or which URL was not approved. So I'm quickly going to go back to show you some of the outputs that went through the automation. So typically when you use automation, you tell the automation to go to a certain website and go to this particular web page and scrape all the information. The output of all that information, it's scraping everything. It's scraping the HTML code, it's scraping the CSS, the JavaScripts, everything that it could potentially find. And this isn't useful for us. This actually requires even more work, right, if we left it here. So this is why it's important to use tools like text parsers to try to extract it down as much as possible, removing any of the HTML where we possibly could. But in this instance, it's still showing some of the CSS formatting and probably any potential JavaScripts that might sit in here. It's also pulling still all the information, all the text that's displaying on the website that we may not necessarily need or use. And this is where ChatGPT came in handy, because based off the prompts that we've given it, it's now extracting only the information that we need to populate our Google Sheet. So I hope this gives you more insights to what web scraping is and how it could benefit you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and shoot me a DM.